All right, y'all. Now listen. I know some people still don't believe me, you know. A lot of people don't believe the things I be saying. Some of y'all still a little sketchy on this, like, dag, that is crazy. Well, let's see someone who's a little more prolific on it. Some of y'all probably know Mr. Paul Wallace, right? Y'all know Paul Wallace, the fifth kind, right? All right, let's see. He had a video here called Did Jesus Worship Yahweh? Did Jesus worship Yahweh? All right. So I guess I'm not the only one out there with the crazy thoughts that is saying, oh, he's crazy. Let's see what he got to say.
Anything like the character of God as Jesus portrays God? It's not a trick question. It's not a difficult question. The answer is no, it doesn't. So how is it that for the best part of 2,000 years, Christianity has run with the idea that the Yahweh character in the Hebrew scriptures is a portrayal of God, and that is the God that Jesus worshipped?
No, he didn't.
1 Samuel 15. Samuel said to Saul, I am the man whom Yahweh has sent to anoint you as king of his people Israel.
This is crazy here.
Now go and crush Amalek. Put him under the curse of destruction, along with everything he possesses. Don't spare him, but kill man and woman, child and nursing baby, ox and sheep, camel and donkey.
Jeez.
So Saul crushed the Amalekites, beginning at Havilah in the direction of Shur, which is to the east of Egypt. He took Agag, king of the Amalekites, alive, and executing the curse of destruction, put all the people to the sword.
Dang.
But Saul and the army spared Agag and the best of the sheep and cattle, the fatlings and lambs and all that was good.
Keep all the good stuff, though.
They did not want to consign these to
Keep
the curse
all
of
the good
destruction.
stuff.
They consigned only what was poor and worthless. Then Yahweh sent a message to Samuel. I regret having made Saul king, since he has fallen short of obedience to me and has not carried out my precise instructions. Samuel was appalled and cried out to Yahweh all night long. In the morning.
What the hell is Samuel appalled about? Why was Samuel appalled, y'all? Samuel, the guy who's just listening to, go tell him this. He did what? How dare he? I will, Yahweh. Saul, you didn't kill everybody. You didn't do what Yahweh said. How dare you? I thought I killed...
Samuel set off to find Saul. When Samuel reached Saul, Saul said, May you be blessed by Yahweh. I have carried out Yahweh's orders. Samuel replied, Then what is this bleating of sheep in my ears and the lowing of cattle that I hear?
You didn't kill all the sheep.
Saul said, They had been brought from Amalek, the people having spared the best of the sheep and cattle to sacrifice them to Yahweh, your God. The rest we have consigned to the curse of destruction.
Your God.
Samuel then said to Saul, Stop. Let me tell you.
Saul said, Your God. We did this for your God. What told us to. You just said, go in there, kill everybody, man, woman, and child, save the good stuff. Is that what we did? But you got a hatred towards me already. You don't think I should roll as king. I didn't do everything you want me to do, but this is what you said to do. But okay, we're gonna see.
You what Yahweh said to me last night. Yahweh anointed you as king of Israel. When Yahweh sent you on a mission, he told you, go and put those sinners, the Amalekites, under the curse of destruction and make war on them until they are exterminated. Why then did you not obey Yahweh's voice? Why did you fall on the booty and do what is wrong in Yahweh's eyes? Saul replied to Samuel, But I did obey Yahweh's voice. I went on the mission which Yahweh gave me. I brought back Agag, king of the Amalekites. I put Amalek under the curse of destruction. And from the booty the people have taken the best sheep and cattle and what was under the curse of destruction, only to sacrifice them to Yahweh, your God, in Gilgal.
Again, what is you not understanding, Samuel? Samuel, what the hell you not understanding, son? Ain't you a prophet or something? You not getting this, bro? You don't understand? This is what I did. What do you not understand, Samuel? Samuel, why are you talking about they sinners, Samuel? So them babies and them kids that you killed, they were sinners too? Ain't they just learning, innocent, loving, kind kids, obedient? Kids obedient, so they listen to what they told to do. You can't come in there and be like, save the kids, man, save the kids. Do not kill these kids. Listen, y'all will teach you wrong. We're going to teach y'all the right way. No, just got to kill everybody. The animals, they were just in there like cursed animals. They over there doing spells. The goats is like, when you come in, the ghosts be like, I don't get it. Like, why you killing all the sheep? Can we eat these? Can we use these? These are accursed sheep. Bad. Bad. That's a sinful bad. Bad. All right, let me stop. Let me stop.
To which Samuel
I'm
said,
sleepy.
Is Yahweh pleased by burnt offerings and sacrifices,
Yes, he is.
or by obedience to Yahweh's voice?
I think all that.
Truly, I tell you, obedience is better than sacrifice,
Lies.
submissiveness than the fat of rams. Rebellion is a sin of sorcery, and presumption a crime of idolatry.
So,
Because you have failed Yahweh's instruction, he has rejected you as king.
wow, and he did everything he asked
Saul
him.
said to Samuel, I have sinned, having broken Yahweh's order and your instructions. Please forgive my sin and return with me so that I can bow down and abase myself before Yahweh.
See, now he fear. Now he feel like he know he gonna die. If Yahweh don't like you, you dead. He knows that already from what's been going on, man. He ain't stupid. See, we read this like, yeah, he has to do everything. Yeah. How could you read this and be like, yeah, that's crazy. He gotta go. Who agreed? This is the Bible. Y'all read this before. If you read the whole Bible, people that be telling me you need to read the whole Bible. Some of you people out there, you need to read the whole Bible. You sound stupid. You read this before? You ever read this? You agree? You agree that Saul was wrong? Even though he tell you he did everything No, you can't tell that Saul was in fear right here because he knows that he's dead from Yahweh. Don't want him to be king anymore. The next thing is death. You just killed a bunch of kids that didn't do nothing. And since I didn't kill them, you obviously going to kill me. So Saul is like, what I got to do to bow down? I go obey your God, meaning he's not his God. I'll go obey your God. You know? It's crazy, man. You guys read this and be like, that's cool? You don't even be thinking about that, do y'all?
Wait.
Just be reading.
Samuel said to Saul,
Reading and agreeing.
I will not come back.
Sorry, I'm going to do this one more time. You guys are really, like Yahweh said, obedient, submissive, because you just be reading and agreeing, just like Samuel. Samuel, you just heard him. I don't like him. I'm going to, what? Why, Samuel? Why you mad, Samuel? There's no reason for you to be mad. Yahweh is just mad. He has a reason, whatever it is. But here you are. This is what everybody's doing in church. They just read this stuff and believe. That's crazy. They have to go. The Israelites were stubborn. They were stubborn. Couldn't get no water in the desert. No bread, no fish. They were stubborn, though.
Failed Yahweh's word, and Yahweh has rejected you as king of Israel. Samuel then said, Bring me Agag, king of the Amalekites. Agag came towards him unsteadily, saying, Truly, death is bitter. Samuel then butchered Agag in the presence of Yahweh at Gilgal.
Wow. Read on, you'll find Yahweh speaking to Saul.
Does that sound anything like the character of God as Jesus describes God in the Gospels?
No. Thank you very much.
It's not a trick question. It's not a difficult question.
Simple.
The answer is no. That is nothing like the qualities of God revealed by Jesus and those who wrote for him in the New Testament.
Yeah.
When those writers describe the character of God, they speak about a God of love and forgiveness. Love which is patient and kind, never jealous, not
never
boastful,
jealous,
conceited, is never rude, never seeks its own advantage, doesn't take offense or store up grievance.
Never jealous. Obviously, Yahweh is not the Father, right? Because Yahweh is what? Exclusively jealous. But we just see love from apostle, liar ass Paul. Excuse my language. Yeah, Paul's a liar. That's why he took over the game and did 10 books because, oh yeah, I'm the journeyman. No, you just took over their religion and made it your own. But anyway, love is patient and kind. Is Yahweh patient, y'all? You ever seen Yahweh patient? If Yahweh says, I want, it's going to happen right there. No patience. You think you're going to wait? You're going to tell Yahweh wait? No. Love, Yahweh ain't waiting for the kids to grow up. He waiting for them kids to grow up, did he? He wanted all the kids dead, right? Did he wait for? He wanted that one sheep. Them sheep. Yahweh ain't patient, so there's no love. Is he kind? Is anyone who kills kids kind, guys? You're despicable. You see this one verse right here is killing this. One verse can show you right here what it can show you about the characteristics, the fruit of the spirit. The fruits is what Jesus told you. Yeshua told you guys to look at, right? The fruits. Okay. So we know Yahweh is none of this. Yahweh is none of this. Yahweh is always this. He's not boastful. Stop it. Is Yahweh not boastful, guys? Is not Yahweh, I am Yahweh, me. There is none that stands beside me. I am your only Savior. Your earth is my footstool. I do as I want with humans. I can make kings, princes, Lord. I could have made you guys all rocks if I wanted to. Didn't he say that? Okay, so here we go. Never see his own advantage. He's never rude. I don't know. I never heard Yahweh be rude or unrude, but just killing somebody's kids that you just made. I don't know. Maybe you just made them the priest. It's kind of rude that you didn't tell Aaron his kids were about to be killed and you just killed them. Anyway, never seeks his own advantage or never takes offense or stores up grievances, but he stores up all that ice in his stomach, though, right? For the day of hell and fire and brimstone, right? Doesn't he store up those grievances that you did? That's not storing them up, waiting. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, that's all against Yahweh right there. But you guys know everything.
That is not the character of Yahweh in the Hebrew Scriptures, what we call the Old Testament. And this is not a glitch. This behavior that we read about in 1 Samuel 15 is the same character revealed by Yahweh whenever he is an active character in the Hebrew Scriptures from start to finish. You can find a similar moment in the time of Moses.
Have you allowed...
Just like Samuel, the spokesperson for Yahweh, executes this brutal slaughter, so Moses does...
Yahweh got gatekeepers, like the Illuminati and shit. Because Yahweh is the Illuminati. Gatekeepers. Same thing. Samuel, Nathan, all these dudes he be sending. Gatekeepers. They go there and they hit you up. You know, imagine that. You at the crib. I just did everything I'm supposed to do. Oh, what is this visit about? Nathan, hey, Nathan, how you doing, sir? How you doing? What are you making food? No, it's good, nice. So, Yahweh sent me here. Oh, man.
The same. Now note that when Yahweh rejects Saul, he's rejecting Saul because he isn't brutal enough. Saul has won the war, but he hasn't killed every woman, child, and baby.
And
he wants scorched earth. He wants a genocide. So on what basis do we consider genocide the worst crime against humanity, and yet we excuse it if the Yahweh character does it? And how is it that Christianity, for the best part of 2,000 years, has run with the idea that the Yahweh character of the Hebrew Scriptures is a portrayal of God, and that is the God that Jesus worshipped?
I ain't gonna lie. I'm a little envious myself right now of him saying it better than me. I'm jealous in a righteous way. I'm jealous of his more righteous way of saying things than me. But as you see, he's making all the sense in the world, isn't he? Didn't I say the same stuff? Didn't I do all of this and say the same stuff? But we gonna see though, more.
The answer is in the Gospels themselves. What I argue in the Eden conspiracy is that although Yahweh later became used as the holy name for God, originally Yahweh referenced an entity which colonized our Hebrew ancestors and governed over them with brutality. And that Yahweh was not a portrayal of God and was certainly not the God whom Jesus called Father. The idea that Yahweh was in fact originally a violent colonizer is emphasized by another name that Yahweh identifies with himself, and that's the name El Shaddai. And for some time there's been a discussion in academic circles as to what exactly El Shaddai means. It has been conceded by the New Jerusalem Bible and the Brown Drivers Briggs Hebrew Lexicon that the Almighty is in fact an invented translation. El Shaddai does not mean that.
Mountain.
And they suggest it could mean either God of the mountains or God of the plains. However,
Let me go to that. El Shaddai, God of the mountains, right? God of the mountains. Where did dragons stay? What his original name is? The original name is El Shaddai. Where did dragons stay? In the mountains with the copper and all that? Where Yahweh is? The God of the mountain God. Creeped up in there, right? Crept up in here, just took us and stuff, right? Got everybody believing in
however, you go to the root meanings of those words, and what you reach is the powerful one, the destroyer.
Abaddon.
Yahweh says in a later text that he introduced himself to Abraham as the powerful one, the destroyer. And within a couple of chapters, he has destroyed two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. And there's a very interesting moment in which the tribes of Israel are at war with the Syrians. And the Syrians think, if we can draw them into the plains, we're going to win, because El Shaddai means the powerful one of the mountains, doesn't it?
Get him out away from the mountain.
He won't be in his home territory if he's in the plains.
That's why he brought them to Mount Sinai.
There. And when Yahweh, El Shaddai, hears this, he becomes so furious, and he says, I'll show them. And what he shows them the next day is a total extermination, proving that he's not the powerful one of the mountains or the plains. He's the powerful one, the destroyer. And he gives them evidence for that on that occasion and many others throughout the Hebrew scriptures. If Yahweh's character is so abominable, why is it that for so long Christians have identified their concept of God, a transcendent, loving God, with the character of Yahweh in the Hebrew scriptures? By the time Jesus came on the scene, Yahweh was being used as the holy name for God. It was the name for the Jewish God. And yet,
the Jewish God.
When you read the teaching of Jesus in the Gospels and referred to in the New Testament,
Yeshua.
Jesus never once uses the name Yahweh, and neither does anyone who writes for him.
Jeez.
In fact, Jesus distances himself from the Yahweh character. When he does refer to the Yahweh character, it is disparagingly. One example is in the Gospel of John, chapter 8. Here, Jesus is addressing the leaders of the Jewish people. When he criticizes their theology, they reply, "We are not illegitimate children. The only father we have is God." Jesus answered, "If God were your father, you would love me, since I have my origin in God and have come from him. I did not come of my own accord, but he sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? Because you cannot bear to listen to my words. You are from your father, the devil, and you prefer to do what your father wants. He was a murderer from the start.
Yikes.
He was never grounded in the truth. There is no truth in him at all. When he lies, he's speaking true to his nature, because he is a liar and the father of lies."
If you know God, why you want to kill him? If you heard God before telling you what to do, wouldn't you know what he's telling you right now? That means you never heard God. You never even seen God because he's right in your face. Well, it's better than the other one, the Michelangelo, Leonardo, whatever. But this is, I mean, just, I don't like the pictures of Jesus or Yeshua. I don't like pictures of Yeshua. If this guy told you just now, you don't like me, how you like God? You don't like me. You don't listen to what I say. You don't even know what I'm saying. Stop killing, stop stealing, stop destroying. The devil's job is to do that. Stop murdering everybody. Stop killing man, woman, and child. Don't do eye for eye. You don't understand these things. You don't listen to me. You think I'm blaspheming, because you never heard or seen God at any time. But me, no man. Makes perfect sense. I always wondered how to fit that in, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, because you're like, how no man seen God, but they heard the law and all that.
Your father was a murderer, a liar, and the father of lies. Could he really be saying that about Yahweh? On another occasion, Jesus completely mocks the idea that Yahweh could be considered any kind of father. Now, father was the language that Jesus used to address God. Now, the Gospels and New Testament are written in Greek, and so the word God is theos. And the concept was fairly established that this referred to the God and source of the cosmos and everything in it, that in which we all live and move and have our being, of which we are all offspring. That's the Apostle Paul's summation of what theos means. And Jesus addresses theos as Abba, as Father. But he mocks the idea that Yahweh was any kind of father. And you can find it in Luke 11 and Matthew 7. Here, Jesus is describing a scenario that was very familiar to his Jewish hearers. He says, now, which of you fathers, if your children were hungry or thirsty, would give them a stone? If they asked you for food or drink, would give them a snake? And it would sound like a completely perverse scenario to us today if we were unfamiliar with the Hebrew scriptures. This is a scenario.
I'm sorry, guy. I gotta pause it right here. I just feel so good about being the one who knew that. The one who caught that without no help. The one who seen, hold up, this man just said his father would give you anything. You know what I'm saying? No snakes. This man gave him snakes. I thought that was terrible. I'm the one. I gotta say it. I'm just loving it. The knowledge of the spirit is with you. All right, now.
Well known to anyone who knows the Yahweh stories, because there did come moments when the people of Israel were starving and thirsty in the desert. And when they cried out for water, Yahweh provided them with a stone and said, you can get water from there. I'll show you how you can find water from the stone.
Wow.
And then he provides them with emergency rations. They don't have access to proper food, so they have an emergency ration of manna, a word that means we don't even know what it is. It's just enough to sustain them from day to day, but they couldn't have more than enough because it wouldn't last for more than a day. Well, after a while, the tribes of Israel become tired of that provision. We can't go on living like this. We're hungry, we're thirsty, we want to go home. And they put their complaint to Moses, Yahweh's deputy. Yahweh is furious that these people are complaining about his provision. And so he sends snakes or serpents to attack them and kill them. And many die and many are made ill. So there's the scenario. Hungry and thirsty children cry.
Yo. He's about to go so hard right here, guys. This is going to put the nail in the coffin for you unbelievers.
Hang out for food and drink, and they're given a stone and a snake. And Jesus, in Matthew 7 and Luke 11, says, what kind of father would treat his children like that? He makes a mockery of the Yahweh stories as if they were depictions of the God whom he called Father.
Mm.
Now, when Jesus spoke disparagingly of Yahweh, he was speaking in the tradition of ancient Judaism. He wasn't attacking Judaism. He was speaking in the same way that his ancestors did. And this is recorded for us in the book of Jeremiah and the book of 2 Kings. It tells us this, 2 Kings 17. The Israelites worshipped other powerful ones. They spoke slightingly of Yahweh, their powerful one.
Wow.
And they built themselves high places wherever they lived. From every watchtower to every fortified town, they set up pillars and sacred poles on every high hill and under every green tree. They sacrificed on all the high places. They were following the pattern of their ancestors. They rejected the commandments of Yahweh, their powerful one. They despised his laws and the covenant he had made with their ancestors, making sense.
So who were the Israelites' ancestors? If it wasn't the Israelites, Canaanites, who were their ancestors? Who were the ones that were building high places, worshiping under every tree, at every moon and every different thing, with pillars and sacred poles, honoring Asher? Who are them? Who are those people? Excuse me, I'm from a little dry. I'm eating these crackers. Who are they? Sumerians? Wait, let me help you out. Where did Abraham come from, right? Right? Samaria, right? Samaria, Babylon, right? Anyway, he came out of there. What were they doing? He crushed all their temples. He made all their idols and his father's, all his stuff, right? But they would go to the roofs and the high places and worship and sacrifice every night, right? Maybe the Sumerians are the Israelites. The same cultures, the same history that they stole and plagiarized and made the Bible with.
Sacred poles and commemorating the Hod Seva Hashemayim, the sky armies. In the Eden conspiracy, I show that the author's intent may be slightly different from the narrator's intent, because the narrator wants us to be horrified that the Jews of the ancient past commemorated contact with other powerful beings whom they remembered with affection. They remembered Asherah with affection because she had helped their ancestors make their great leap forward into agronomy and city building and development into a civilization. But they remembered being colonized by Yahweh as a very negative thing, and they had rejected Yahwism as their religion and as their law. So that was the memory that has now been written into the text. The author is guaranteed we will never forget that that is what Judaism used to be.
Yahwism.
But the narrator wants us to be horrified that that was persisting. And when we get into the stories of Kings Hezekiah and King Josiah, we're into the story of reform, where Jewish ritual practice was pared down to become monotheism. And the panoply of the Tzeva Hashemayim, this great array of advanced beings who came to our planet in the deep past, all that will be forgotten. The statues knocked down, the altars broken, the temples demolished, the carvings of the Tzeva Hashemayim in the Jerusalem temple would be defaced and destroyed. The entire temple to Asherah, which Solomon had built in a town next to Jerusalem, dedicated to Asherah, that would be demolished. Now there's only the Jerusalem temple honoring Yahweh. There's the king and his God, Yahweh. All the others will be forgotten. The other priesthoods disbanded. The narrative has been changed, controlled, centralized.
Wonder why Solomon left. Solomon was wise. He knew that he was too wise. This ain't God. I'm going to all these other gods, Asherah and Diana and all of them, man. Yahweh ain't God.
And so we now have an ordered theocracy with one God, one king, one high priest, one temple in Jerusalem, all the tithes coming there, and only the one high priest telling us what's true, what's false, what's news, what's fake news. And yet the author has guaranteed that we remember what Judaism was in the beginning. So when Jesus speaks slightingly of Yahweh and reject his laws, he is speaking in the tradition of primitive Judaism. Yet in the early...
So this man notices that Jesus was rejecting his laws and slighting him. Why is it not with me, you guys? Why? I bet you're going to believe him, but you won't believe me when I say it.
Church, it was unclear whether Jesus really had repudiated the laws of Yahweh.
I'm going to start using these words, y'all.
It took a while for the idea to bed down that Jesus really had rejected Yahwism and repudiated Yahweh's laws. And one of the reasons for this confusion can be found in a passage in the Gospel of Matthew, Matthew 5:17. Jesus said, "Do not imagine that I have come to abolish the law of the prophets. I've come not to abolish them, but to complete them or fulfill them. I tell you the truth, until heaven and earth disappear, not one dot, not one little stroke is to disappear from the law until everything is fulfilled." So there is an ambiguity there, because there are two time frames for the ending of the law. Now, make clear, first of all, he is talking about the ending of the period of Yahwistic law. One time frame is until heaven and earth disappear. He says nothing's going to change about the law, and he uses this phrase, until heaven and earth disappear, which could be a time frame, or it could be an emphatic phrase saying the law is not going to change, ever. But then there's another time frame, until everything has been fulfilled. And the apostolic writers are very clear that Jesus came to fulfill the law. That means to complete it. And that means completed action. They put an end date on the laws of Yahweh. But you can see why there was a little bit of ambiguity there, and why it took a while for the apostolic leaders and the early church fathers to work out that Jesus really had repudiated the law. Now, there were many occasions when this seemed to be the implication, because Jesus was saying, Moses said this, but I say this. You've heard it said, and he's referring to Yahwistic law, but I say this. And the hearers of the time understood what a shocking claim that really was.
Right.
Could Jesus really be saying that the moment was coming when we can completely forget about Yahweh and all his laws and move on to something better? Well, this was the debate that the apostolic church had to have, because what it boiled down to as Christianity got going was, to become a Christian, do you have to obey the laws of Yahweh?
Wow.
Do you have to believe in the Yahweh stories to be a Christian? Because many people from outside of Judaism, outside of the Jewish faith, were following Jesus. And the apostles had to get their head around what this meant. And so they call a council in Jerusalem, and it is recorded for us in Acts 15. And they address this question: what do we do with the stories and the laws of Yahweh? Do we maintain them in Christianity moving forward? And they came to a decision at the end of this council, chaired by Jesus' brother James. And the answer is a resounding, no, we don't. Yahweh's law is at an end. They could only have reached that conclusion if they'd been absolutely clear that Jesus had put clear blue water between what he was on about and what Yahwism was all about.
Exactly.
If they had any doubt, they would have fudged it.
Right.
But they were clear. Jesus had fulfilled, put an end to the era of Yahweh. Now something better was going to happen. And the only little...
So we see that the apostles and all the Jews were waiting for this. They were waiting for the end of this law. So it's like, to us though, we're just reading it like they were excited to see Jesus. It was like, are you going to end the law? Is it going to put an end to the law? But we're not thinking about how the fact that they're asking them to put an end to the law. Why? Because the law exposes sins. That's what the wise ones would say. The law exposed sins, and they were being exposed. Everything exposes sins. Everything does. You sin, you sin. They don't need the law to tell you that. Anyway, though, but these guys want to get rid of it. And then Jesus, Yeshua, comes and agrees. Listen. He's basically agrees to say that not now, but later. We're going to do it. So But look how you fooled in church to believe that, you know, they was like different for the law. You know, like they were together and they were just violated. The Jews were just violated, you know what I'm saying? But it was just a law in general, period. They were wanting to get rid of it.
All they came up with was only we should ensure that believers remain sexually pure and they don't eat meat sacrificed to idols. Now, what does that mean? Were they keeping one of the 650 commandments of Yahwism, or were they saying something else? When they say don't eat meat sacrificed to idols, they're not talking about buying meat from the market and you don't know what was done to it previously. No, eating meat sacrificed to idols means sacrificing to idols. And what they are saying is we should be sure that Christians moving forward don't worship anything that is less than God. Don't eat meat sacrificed to idols. Our worship is of God, the source of the cosmos and everything in it, that in which we all live and move and have our being, of which we are all offspring. That's how the apostle.
Don't eat food sacrificed to idols, y'all. I stopped eating fast food years ago. You know, I have a burger every now and then because I'm on the road or something. But, you know, you think maybe those foods are to idols? Because look who represents all these burgers, right? The contracts, LeBron, all these idols, right? All these people that be doing the commercials, getting paid by them to represent them and to get you to want to buy because of them. Is that sacrifice food to idols in a new futuristic way?
So Paul defines God in Acts 17. And Christians mustn't worship anything less. Acts 15 is a very clear repudiation of the Yahwist law because the apostles understood Jesus never spoke in Yahweh's name. He never used the name Yahweh. Whenever he referred to Yahweh, it was always to repudiate his laws or disparage his stories or mock the idea that Yahweh was any kind of father.
Thank you, Paul.
And towards the end of John's gospel, he makes clear to his Jewish followers that his God and Father was something unknown to them. Now, they knew Yahweh very well. They were Yahwists. But Jesus is now saying, my God and Father, what I'm talking about,
you don't know,
is something new to you.
Whew.
On 14, verse 8,
Whew.
Philip said to Jesus, Lord, show us the Father, and then we shall be satisfied.
So they've seen Yahweh. They know about
Jesus
Yahweh.
said to him, have I been with you all this time, Philip, and still you do not know me? Anyone who has seen me has seen the Father.
They still didn't see him because the Jews didn't see him.
The Father is in me.
They killed him.
Of course, this echoes what Jesus had told the Jewish leaders in John 8, where he said, you don't know me, and you don't know my Father. So there is a disequation of Yahweh and the Father of Jesus. So how did this confusion arise? Early church fathers regarded Stoicism, and Plato in particular, as a useful preparation for Jesus. Justin Martyr, Clement of Alexandria, Origen, all wrote in these terms. Justin Martyr put it very clearly. He said that the Yahwist laws and the prophetic tradition of Judaism was the preparation for the Jewish people for what Jesus was on about, and that he had been prepared for Jesus through Stoicism and through being a student of Plato. Now, he's only repeating, in effect, what the Apostle Paul writes in the book of Galatians. So what does that mean mathematically for this new faith, Christianity? Judaism was the preparation for the Jews. The Vedas were the preparation for the Hindus, so on and so forth. Plato was his personal preparation. And as Christianity decided it was going to be an international faith and was not going to be tethered to Judaism, was not going to be a Jewish sect, mathematically, that made international thought, crystallized by Plato, the more useful preparation. And I think if the early church had followed the logic of Irenaeus, Justin Martyr, Clement of Alexandria, Origen, and Marcion, we would have had an Old Testament of Plato and a New Testament of Jesus and the apostolic writings. But instead, what happened was the Jewish scriptures were glued onto the apostolic writings to make a Bible of Old Testament and New Testament. And the Hebrew canon that was glued on, well, that was the 6th century BCE redaction of the Hebrew scriptures. Now, you remember I mentioned those kings, Hezekiah and Josiah. They initiated this ritual reform of Judaism. So they pared it down to get rid of the paleo-contact aspect so that people would forget about the Tseva Hashemayim, the sky armies, and the El Ba'adat, the council of powers, and remember only Yahweh. And so they demolish the temple that Solomon had erected to go alongside the Jerusalem temple, one dedicated to Asherah and the beings who came and helped our ancestors discover agriculture, ordered that the other temples be demolished, the other priesthoods disbanded, the standing stones marking the places of ancient ET contact knocked down, the altars where the commemorations were made broken. All that is the ritual reform which begins in the 8th century BCE. This reform continues into the 6th century BCE, so by the time we have the reconstruction of the temple and Ezra, the senior priest, oversighting that, we now have a set of scriptures teaching Yahwism. There's only one God, and his name is Yahweh. And it's that edit of those stories that got glued onto the apostolic writings. The problem with gluing them together is that it sends the signal that this God, whom we call Yahweh, is the same God whom Jesus worshipped and taught about. And it's simply not the case. Though Yahweh came to be used as the holy name for God, originally it referred to this colonizing entity, this experience of colonization and brutalization by other non-human powers. And the problem is, if you confuse those things, if you confuse God with a dragon, if you confuse God with a colonizer, if you confuse God with a violent, genocidal, jealous, ET entity that has no empathy towards its humans, you end up with a very distorted vision, not only of God, but of yourself. If you worship a God who divides the human race into my people and not my people, you will have to think in that same racist kind of way. You worship a xenophobe, you will become a xenophobe. You worship.
Hey, man. Listen, guys. Come on, man. I've been saying it, but it just sounds better when he said it. I'll be real. But I've been saying that, put y'all on that can't be. You can't worship this. How you worship this and not be this and be the same person that walk out with your kids? How? How you can sit across from your kids after murdering all the babies and raping the women? How?
Violence. You will justify violence, and indeed we have.
Like they do.
Through the ages.
Y'all on my channel. Justifying
invasions, colonizations, enslavements, misogyny, all kinds of violence and injustice in the name of a violent God. And my books, The Eden Conspiracy, Escaping from Eden, The Scars of Eden, Echoes of Eden,
go get those books, y'all.
That the time is
I'm about to go get them
more
myself.
than due for us to unravel this connection. To be sure that when we use the word God, we're speaking only of the source of the cosmos and everything in it, that in which we all live and move and have our being, of which we are all offspring, which is a beautiful, inclusive vision in the words of the Apostle Paul in Acts 17, and that we do not consider the Yahweh figure of the Hebrew stories as God. It is something else. And in the Eden Conspiracy, I go into the root meanings of key words to show that Yahweh is just one of a number of non-human demographics with whom our ancestors had to deal in the deep past. We have Yahweh, El Shaddai, El Elyon, all the Elohim, the El Ba'adat, the Tseva Hashemayim. They are stories of paleo-contact, not of Almighty God, which turns out to be an invented translation altogether. When I go to the teachings of Jesus, I see a great difference. Yahweh was all about you worship me and nobody else, because I'm a jealous God. And Jesus said,
or else I'll kill you.
I didn't come to be served. I came to help you. Yahweh believes that he can micromanage us to the point of telling us what we can eat and not eat. Whereas in the Gospel of Mark, Jesus declares all foods clean. Yahweh is unforgiving and will not be reasoned with. And Jesus says, your sins are forgiven. Yahweh is all about you follow my orders to the letter, even if they don't make sense to you. And there comes a moment when his king, King David, is nearing the point where he might question Yahweh's orders. What he does is he counts his armies, because he's now old enough that he only wants to fight winnable wars. So he counts his troops, a very sensible thing to do. But for Yahweh, that's just too close to weighing up his instructions. You do not think for yourself. You do not use your own mind. You do not trust in your own judgment. You trust in Yahweh with all your heart. And as a punishment for thinking for himself, Yahweh slaughters 70,000 of David's troops.
Crazy.
Now contrast that with what Jesus says, because in his first message that he toured with for a year, according to the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus not only encourages us to use our own minds, but he says, go beyond the mind. The root meanings say this: go beyond the mind, because the whole cosmic realm is available to you. That's the kingdom of heaven. The whole cosmic realm is available to you. Elsewhere in the Gospel of Matthew, and you can find it in the Gospel of Thomas as well, the earliest Christian source.
So we can access
many scholars.
You heard the books he said? Gospel of Thomas and Philip. You can find that in there with those words right there. Meaning go beyond yourself from here, from this spot, from this place, right here on earth. Go beyond yourself, go beyond your mind, and you'll find the resources of heaven will open up to you. Because it's right here. It's in your mind. It's all you. You're selling your creation in you. See, that's right there. Like he said, he mentioned Philip and Thomas for that. I appreciate that. But that's also in your regular Bible too, I believe. You know what I'm saying? So y'all, we be missing right over these jewels that Yeshua is dropping. We missed all them jewels because the church done flipped it over to make you feel like Yahweh sent the seed and this is the one that he's gonna be the father of and son. But as you see, that man just ripped that apart. Even though I did that in many videos already. Go ahead, Paul.
The whole of the cosmic realm is within you. Now, can you imagine a more profound invitation to explore what's possible than that? So on the one hand, you have Yahwism, where your role and my role is only to obey and worship and do what we're told. And Jesus here is saying, explore what's possible. The things you see me do, these and even greater things will you do, because the whole of the cosmic realm is available to you. One is demeaning.
So let me ask you, did God just tell us that we can do better than himself? Did God just say that we're going to do better than God did? That's humble, right? It's pretty humble right there, right? To say something like that, right? That's a pretty humble saying to say that, you guys are going to do better than me. Could have been just encouragement from Jesus, but Jesus don't lie, right? He can't lie. So, it's true. I don't know what y'all want to think with that, where y'all want to go with that.
Finishing, disempowering, and the other is empowering, invitational, and inspiring. In my book, The Eden Conspiracy, I show how Yahwism
Go get that book,
and
man.
what Jesus was on about are two completely different things. Jesus didn't teach Yahwism, he didn't talk about Yahweh, and he certainly didn't worship him. Our ancestors wanted us to know about what happened under Yahweh. They wanted us to know about colonization. They wanted us to know about covert government. They wanted us to know about
covert government. Man, all the tricks of today.
Previous civilizations. They wanted us to know about ancient technology. All those stories are there in the Hebrew canon. and the authors of the Hebrew canon have guaranteed that we never forget it. I believe the Bible is in fact one of the most detailed and important curations of ancestral memory of contact that we have in the world. It stands alongside the Vedas of Hinduism. It stands alongside the Popol Vuh of the Mayan tradition. It stands alongside traditions we have from the Efik people in Nigeria, the Luo people, Edo people of Nigeria, the Dogon people of Mali, West Africa. In fact, all around the world are narratives of ancient contact. So our ancestors wanted us to know about that. And Jesus wanted us to know what it is to be free from that kind of tyrannical leadership, free from that kind of colonization,
free from that lie,
enjoying our own power and our own ability to explore the cosmos and what that might mean for you and me. Yahweh came for slaves. Jesus came to set the prisoners free so that you and I could have a better human experience.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. Y'all go get those books. I'm about to get that Eden book first. Yeah, man. There you have it. I mean, I figured maybe I'll hear from somebody else, you know, somebody with more stature than me in this game who has more followers and views, way more views than I be getting. Y'all need to start tripling and doubling y'all views, man. Come on, tighten up. We said the same stuff. I'm more animated. He was dull and boring. I love you, Paul. He's playing. Paul, like, I was liking this guy until that. But now, Paul, that's my guy. He says he's very wisdom, very wise. I watched a lot of Paul. But this, when I seen this, I didn't know Paul was on that like that with me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, I got to put this up there because he breaks it down very clearly. And some people need more proof besides just me and Billy Carson. But yeah, man, I mean, there you have it, y'all. Can't beat that one, huh? Peace.